You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
The new Auckland A-League football team, meantime, have locked in their men's head coach. Former Sydney FC player and coach Steve Corica will lead the franchise into their inaugural season, which starts in October of 2024. As a player, he won 2 A-League championships with Sydney FC, and as a coach, guided them to back-to-back A-League championships in 2018-19 and 2019-2020. He will reunite with Auckland's Director of Football, Terry McFlynn. The two of them played together at Sydney FC between 2005 and 2010. Steve Corica joins us on Weekend Sport. Congratulations on the new role, Steve. How did this all come about?
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. Obviously, Terry's got the Director of Football job there, and once he was involved, he reached out to me, Nick Becker as well, new CEO. Just conversations went from there, and I think it's perfect timing for me. I've been at Sydney for a long time, like you said there. I needed something a little bit new and fresh, and for me, this was a perfect opportunity to start something new. A new team coming into the league, obviously a different country as well. It's something different for me. I was involved with Sydney when it did start up as a player, but now it's going to be a startup club as a coach, and obviously a lot of work to be done before October comes and when the season starts. But I'm really excited about it. The challenge, obviously, the owner Bill Foley as well has obviously taken the new franchise. He's been great so far, and he obviously wants to win. He's very ambitious to win and bring in the right people for the club, and most importantly that the Auckland people get behind obviously the club as well, and that's the important thing that I'm llooking forward to.
Tell us about the challenge that you'll face in building a club from scratch. As you say, you were part of the inaugural Sydney FC side in the A-League's very first season, 05-06, but you didn't have to build the team. You were just one member of it. What about building one as a coach?
Yeah, it's a little bit different, isn't it? So, obviously the most important thing for me is the players, and that's my main focus right now because the January window opens, and it's important that the players out of contract that we start speaking to, and sign as many as possible. Really, that the right people though as well, the right players that we want to bring into the club, and the right character is really important for me. It's not only that they're a good footballer, that they're the right character, and that we can build the culture at the club. It's the first season. We need to bring in the right people for that. So that's first thing, and first thing I'll be looking forward to. A lot of the other staff need to take care of, like where we're going to play and where we're going to train and that kind of thing. I'll be involved in a lot of that as well. But right now is the players are the most important thing, and make sure that we bring in the right players.
Tell us about the strategy, Steve, regarding marquee players, imports. We all know that each team can have 5 of them. Bill Foley's already said we're going to use all 5. What's your strategy around that? Marquee players, big names, or do you want certain positions with your imports?
Yeah, obviously Bill's he's right behind that. We're going to bring in marquees. There's 5 foreigners. I think they're very important to the squad to bring in the right players. For me, no, it's not so much about bringing in well-known players. I think if you do that, you're talking about more older players. I think the most important thing for me is they have to fit into the style of football that we want to play, and it's going to be a high intense, exciting style of football, and you have to bring in the right players to fit into that. There's been marquee players that we've had at Sydney that people really didn't know before they come, like Bobo. He's one of them, so they're the kind of players that are going to come in and do really well for the club and be exciting for the club to watch and to grow and get right behind the players. I think the marquees, though, they come a little bit later on. They're not our focus right now. I think more the New Zealand players and the Australian players are the focus right now. The foreigners, normally when the season finishes in Europe is the time to, and who's out of contract there, is the time to sign them once later on. But really the focus now is the New Zealand players and Australian players to get them sorted, because it's there's other clubs that want to sign them as well, and there might be even another a club coming in from Canberra soon, and it's important that we get on the front foot and sort out these players.
Tell us about the balance you're keen to strike there in your Kiwis and your Australian players. Obviously, you're a New Zealand-based club. Is it important to you, to the owners, that you have a number of Kiwis? And if, for example, there's a choice between a Kiwi and an Australian, you might choose the Kiwi because he's a Kiwi, if you get what I'm saying.
Of course, 100%. I know what I'm going into. I know I'm going to New Zealand, and I think it's important. I know I'm Australian as well, but it's important that we bring in New Zealand players. There's a lot of talented young players. It's about getting the blend right, like you said. There's different categories that I look for in players. There's different ages as well that we need to look for. Obviously, there's young players coming through, which will be majority of them, New Zealand players, the young scholarship players. That there's a lot of talented players in New Zealand and in Auckland itself. So, and it's good to have homegrown players coming through. And at some stage we'll start an academy. Maybe I think it's the second year that we'll start the academy up. So that will be vital as well. I think by the time I finished at Sydney, we had 60% of the academy players in the A-League squad. So, that's something that we want to do in New Zealand now and in Auckland once it starts. But it's definitely going to be a good blend of New Zealand players in there. It's important for the league and for the country itself to get right behind them, but you're behind the team itself.
I know you probably can't name them for us, but are you close to, or have you settled on your support staff yet, Steve?
No, to be honest, no. This has happened very quickly. I'm still away at the moment as well. I'm in Dubai at the moment. I've been doing a bit of personal development. I've spent a bit of time in England with Ange, a couple of days. I've been to Bournemouth as well. I've spent some time in Yokohama with Muskie. So I'm just trying to do a bit of learning as well. I haven't had a lot of time to do that once, at Sydney. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to do that and see if there's anything different that I should be doing and what I can take out of learning from them. So that's been great and exciting. So, now obviously the next step is to get back on the ground, back in Australia, and then obviously move to New Zealand and start, building this something special club that we're going to have.
Were you always keen to get back into it straight away? I mean, you only just left Sydney. Was there ever any thought that you might have a bit of a break? I mean, obviously you've done some PD, but take a break from being a full-time head coach, or were you always keen to get into another project?
Yeah, obviously this has come pretty quickly. I've only been out, for about a month now, and most of that I've been away for. So, it wasn't about, the time. The timing was right, obviously, for me. This club doesn't start, until October this season. So, but there's a lot of work to do before that. I get bored pretty easily as well. So, I get over things, and I wanted to start something fresh, obviously. And this come at the right time, something different for me, new challenge, new country. Obviously the same A-League, but I've got a lot of experience in the A-League as well, and building teams, and that's I'm looking forward to the challenge. It's going to be very exciting, I think.
You played Wellington Phoenix many times as a Sydney FC player and then as a coach as well. How much are you looking forward to a New Zealand derby? I mean, we're obviously very excited about the opportunity or the prospect of it over here. What about the first couple of New Zealand derbies? How do you reckon they'll be?
Yeah, it's going to be amazing, I think. I spoke to someone just before about the Sydney derby. That's the first game you look for when you get the fixture list. And it's going to be no different in New Zealand now. The Auckland, obviously, Wellington derby is going to be something special. And that's, I'm looking forward to that, definitely. Obviously, Wellington doing really well this season in the A-League, top of the table at the moment. And, obviously, that's great for New Zealand football as well. And next year there's going to be another team. So that's going to be great for New Zealand football in total.
How do you reckon you'll go when you come up against Sydney FC for the first time? I mean, you just about bleed sky blue, don't you? I mean, how's that going to be?
Yeah, that's going to be something different, definitely. I don't know how I'm going to feel, actually, at the moment. But, I've spent, obviously, a lot of time there, 19 years, a lot of love for the club. And that's not going to change. But, and this is why, this is going to be, this is going to be great for me as well. It's a startup team, so I will fall in love with obviously New Zealand and Auckland now, and yeah, it is something special to do as the inaugural coach of Auckland.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.